HH factory. No leaks, no leaks, no leaks.
They're just gonna push it over the ledge and let it roll down.
Talk about a birthing canal. Oh my goodness, what an entrance into life.
Oh, it's so unnatural. I don't know why this is so exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
That didn't exactly go to plan.
The original design was 7 Victron MPPT controllers, and now they've switched it out.
Good space for a little computer tower right here.
Here's where I could maybe use a little advice from you guys.
At the boat show, like they would come in and be like, oh my gosh, it's so light, feels kind of cheap. And you're like, no, it's far from cheap.
We're gonna have the cleanest fuel that never gets used.
That's the plan.
They're like, hey, you know, next time, just a little bit bigger.
It is a momentous day, one we have been working towards for almost 2 years now, because this is the day that Curiosity is gonna float for the very first time ever. No leaks, no leaks, no leaks, no leaks. Is it just me, or is that a really steep drop?
We saw a little bit of the 88 getting dropped, so I'm not too nervous about it, but if this was the first time I'd ever seen this, like our boat's teetering right on the up and down sort of tippy top of this hill, I'd kind of be freaking out inside.
Right? Like when you're thinking, well, they did the 88, this ought to be a piece of cake.
They've done the 88, they did this 60 that's in. I think it's a 60. Yeah. It's in the water now, so I'm like, yeah, they got it. I guess I shouldn't get cocky about that.
No, I know. I don't care how many times they've done it. It looks sketchy.
So they have a winch in that little house back there, and then it goes through a giant block, and he's pulling it out. So essentially they're just gonna push it over the ledge and let it roll down. This is gonna be interesting. Maybe I spoke too soon earlier. There she goes. So the winch is keeping tension, and they are steering the boat down. Woo!
If that boat slid off of that trailer. This is not a fast process. It's very slow, which makes it all way more painful. Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, they're tying lines onto it. So once she splashes, they can control her. Don't know if you noticed, but she doesn't have props yet, so they can't exactly like drive her around.
It's killing me. Oh my gosh. Ah, here she goes.
Keels are touching for the first time. All right, our holes just now. Oh, baby. Oh, she's gonna look beautiful on the ocean.
Everything sounds intense when you don't know what they're saying.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
I don't know why they're lifting it back out.
I heard yelling, it backed up, they've got it out of the water, now I hear laughing. So maybe somebody forgot to close the seacock. Oof. I hope that's all it is, holy crap. All right, she's going back in. This is where she stopped last time. Okay, my heart's pumping. She looks pretty well balanced, even though they don't have the mast on, which goes in the center, and the forestay, which adds a little bit of weight to the front. So it'll be very interesting to see how level she is once she's fully rigged and that mast is on. Oh my God, I was just, oh God. There goes the lift, or the trailer, I guess.
She floats! At least for now. I have dreamt about this moment for so long, and so it's a little bit surreal kind of seeing her in the water now. It feels like I've seen other boats here, but it's just not the same unless it's your boat. a wild thing to watch something go from nothing other than an idea on a piece of paper to something very real that you're standing on in the water. It's very exciting. Oh my goodness. It's the beginning of the end, people. The beginning of the end. And then a whole nother chapter starts as she actually ends up out on the big blue. It's very exciting. Very exciting.
This is a brand new 60. They put us right behind it. You think that's a marketing thing? They're like, hey, you know, next time, just a little bit bigger. There's gotta be some thought to that. You know they do that on purpose, right? Right? Okay, so I got the scoop on what happened, why they had to push it back out of the water. Apparently, the DST, the depth sound transducer, wasn't fully engaged. So when they went in, it started to spring a leak. So they quickly put it down, backed the boat out, vacuumed out the water, and then put it back in, and all was good. So, whew, crisis averted. That's why I heard yelling and then laughing. And then I also was told that before she got on the cradle to be put in the water, she was weighed, and her total weight is 10,061 kg. Now granted, she doesn't have her mast on or the forestay or anything like that, but she is almost done. So it's coming in pretty close to what we expected. So that's good news. And she'll sit here in the pond for a week and a half, 2 weeks. They'll go through all the systems, check the bilges, check the hybrid system, check the engines, check the doors. Now that she's floating, that she's gonna be like, she's gonna sit differently, even though they're meticulously level her out when she's in the factory. When she sits in the water, she might be different. So they're gonna run through every system, all the appliances, everything, all the doors, all the everything. Did I say all the everything?
You said all the everything.
So she'll be here for a while. We'll come back. But really the biggest thing is the mast. And I don't know if that goes in, probably not while she's in the pond. They'll probably pull her back out, then put the mast on. But that's the big one. No, but she floats. It's a good day. It's a good day.
So, you know how Jason said the next big thing is the mast? Well, that didn't exactly go to plan, which, let's be honest, when it comes to boats, doesn't seem much of anything ever goes to plan. And unfortunately for us at this stage, that also means a little bit more of a delay. And the idea of another delay at this stage just stresses me right out for so many different reasons on so many different levels. Which is why I am very happy to say that today's sponsor is AG1, because AG1 has adaptogens, which are active ingredients in certain plants that help support how our bodies manage and deal with stress, anxiety, and fatigue, which I seem to be having plenty of these days through this process. Plus, the vitamins, minerals, and whole food source antioxidants help support mental clarity, focus, and energy, which means I don't feel the need for coffee. And considering that this is less than the price of a latte and much better for my body, then I feel really good about choosing this. And it is just one travel pack or scoop, if you got the pouch, in 8 to 10 ounces of water. The colder, the better. And then you just shake and enjoy. And when I say enjoy, I really do mean enjoy. This isn't something that I am just choking down because I know that it's good for me. I enjoy the beverage. And I just haven't found anything else that is any easier or more comprehensive than this. So if you would like to give it a try, use the link down in our description box, and AG1 will give you a year's supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. So thank you very much to AG1 for your support. I am going to enjoy this beverage and then we'll fill you in on what has happened. All right, so a couple of days ago, we show up because it is time to fit the mast, right? Big day because the mast goes on and that means sails can go on, and we are getting so close to being a complete and whole boat. They've got the mast laid out, crane, they've got the forklift, this whole production, and they start to lift it up and hoist it over to the boat. It's pretty wild. One false move and all of that becomes a gigantic wrecking ball, but they've been smooth as butter. I guess I shouldn't speak too soon. They're not done yet.
Nope.
Everything is looking good. They've got guys that are running all the mousing lines through and back to the cockpit, and it is just like a lot of production happening with all of these guys on board. Gets set down onto the plate, the furler gets fitted to the front. Everything is looking good so far. And then they go to put the shrouds out. And that's sort of when things stopped, and all of a sudden they're all starting to talk to each other. And it was evident to us that something was off. So we stopped filming, and we probably should have continued, but we were concerned. So turns out the shrouds were way too long and they need to be trimmed. And they can't do that here because it's kind of a special procedure with like the turnbuckles and the swages and everything else. So they got to send that off so that it's done proper and approved by Selden to make sure that everything's good to go. So sort of standard procedure for when something like that happens. Now, the unfortunate part of that means that that's going to take days, right? Maybe more than days. You really don't know until the job is done. And you get it because you're here, you're watching it, you understand exactly what's happening. But it doesn't make the sting of the delay hurt any less, unfortunately.
Obviously, nobody wants delays, and for us, that means a big pivot. So it's just another week, but that means we have to find lodging, a place to stay. That also might extend our visa too long. We only get 60 days here, so we might have to do a visa run. Take a train, a plane, it's just a lot of logistics. And for these guys, it means switching everything around. So they originally planned on being in the water. They were gonna put the sails up, test all the sails. They were gonna test the hybrid electric, the diesel, all that sort of stuff. And now they're doing lighting and electronics and solar, which I actually find very interesting because they are testing each panel individually, and this is a completely new system compared to what was on 4401. That's a cool device. So there's one that goes up top that's measuring the current and seeing the sun, and then they're documenting that. And then the one inside is connecting to the solar panel, so they're able to see the current and how each solar panel is performing. So the original design was 7 Victron MPPT controllers, and now they've switched it out to where they have 1 JASON MPPT controller per panel. It will effectively give us more efficiency and I think hopefully more power. What? Is it Tim the Toolman Taylor?
Nobody knows
Nobody
that
knows it?
reference.
Who knows Tim? Leave a comment down below. You gotta know Tool Time. Come on.
Honey, you're showing your age. Your age. That show hasn't been on
for like
decades.
30 years.
Oh my god. I'm also taking a bunch of measurements, just trying to figure out, you know, like just measuring cabinets and like the vanity and all the different shelves and compartments, trying to figure out, you know, okay, what size of storage bins can I buy for even for like underneath the seats or even like in the sail locker, you know, forward, so that you can store like your extra water maker parts closer to the water maker, or, you know, so on and so forth. So it's like all the big major stuff we've mostly purchased at this point, but this little stuff is like, you just can't do it until the boat is like closer to completion, so you can actually really see what's going to make sense in that space. So, it's a lot. Good space for a little computer tower right here. Maybe a, what's the network thingy?
Like a NAS?
Yeah, like a NAS or something. I don't know. Something for faster data transfer for all of the freaking files we've always got going on.
So we're also considering bicycles, and originally we thought electric bikes, and Electric, the brand, makes like these really awesome like off-road sort of, they almost look indestructible. They look like the perfect island motorcycle basically, but in like the size of a bicycle. But now that I'm in here into this space, I'm thinking, I don't think they're gonna fit. They might be a little too heavy. So here's where I could maybe use a little advice from you guys. The only one that we found that might work would be like a Go Cycle. But the downside is their wheels are tiny, they're narrow, they're more made for like streets. They don't really have that off-road vibe, so I don't really know how well they're gonna last like in an island situation on like dirt roads. Plus they're like super, super expensive. So if anybody has any recommendations on a compact, lightweight electric bike, please let us know in the comments below, because it would be really nice to have a bicycle, because a lot of times getting groceries, getting around the islands, like it's just so nice to be able to go further on a bike. And an e-bike with pedal assist, it's like, it's exercise, and you can go 10 times further than you can on a regular bike.
Don't need a car.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need to rent a car, don't need a motorcycle, don't need to rent scooters. Like, it's just great. It's just great, if we can find one. It's not a very big space, as you can see. I mean, it's a big space for a 44-foot catamaran, but it's not a big space. This is another one I'm excited about. It is filtration. So on our last boat, we had lots of issues with algae building up inside the diesel tanks. And on this boat, because it is a hybrid, we're hoping to use the diesel even less, which means we could potentially have even more problems with algae buildup. Even though we use biocide, even though we use like fuel treatments, it doesn't really matter. I always put it through the little like special filter that's supposed to remove water anyway. This is a built-in system, so we can transfer fuel from one side to the other and also clean it. And it's pretty simple, but complicated at the same time. So I want to dive into that fully later on once we're using it. So it's a complete fuel polishing system. If one tank gets some sort of gunk inside of it, that can transfer all the fuel out, filter it, bring it into the other tank, clean that tank, and then move the fuel back again and filter it again. We're gonna have the cleanest fuel that never gets used.
That's the plan. Another thing that they're working on right now is installing all of the walls. So the sides and of course up here. So as they've finished testing each area and they know that it's good to go, then they go ahead and start putting on what they call whisper wall, which is literally just stretched fabric put into these little grooves. A lot of times it's plywood wrapped in fabric and there's glue involved and everything else. It's a lot more off-gassing and a lot more weight. That's really the biggest thing. So they're always trying to save weight, which is why they do the whisper wall. And now, of course, where all the connectors are for the solar panels and anything that needs to be accessed or that might need to be accessed more often, then they do a proper like Velcro panel there so that you can take it down and put it back up easily. But for everything else, they do this because it's all about saving weight. And speaking of, now that all of our like kind of cabinetry is all in and you can see everything, that's another one, because people come in, you know, especially at the boat show, like they would come in and be like, oh my gosh, it's so light, feels kind of cheap. And you're like, no, it's far from cheap. It's actually foam composite in the center, and then it's like these like laminate pieces on the outside. So it is so incredibly featherweight. So every cabinet you open, it's like nothing there. And I think people are so used to having like big heavy wood, like that feel of opening a heavy drawer or a heavy duty cabinet. But you know, on a catamaran it's all about weight, so everywhere they can save weight they do, but they're still incredibly strong. They're just crazy light. Just to give you an idea, this is the cabinet where the refrigerator goes. I can do it one-handed, it's more awkward, but I mean the fact that you can lift that whole thing up, pretty incredible. It's very light. So watching a lot of this stuff going in is a very cool process. It's also educational, just in case I ever have to take one of these off for some wild, crazy reason. I at least understand how they put it in, which hopefully means I can replicate. Let's hope we never have to find out.
Well, we waited till the absolute last minute to film this ending, and in fact, we skipped a week of publishing. So we were really hoping to finish with the Mast going on and like all this excitement, but that's just not gonna happen. Maybe next week, maybe.
Call my number, call my name. We both know I'm to
It almost looks like an orchid, but with a green bean pod hanging from it. It's an interesting tree. So many interesting new things, always, all the time, everywhere, new discovery. Oh, kitty cat, you gonna come say hello? Oh, I made a friend. Huh, you're so friendly.
是不是小猫？
Yeah.
它是看我家的。
Just like that. Left in the dust. Yeah.
Passed up for the next interesting person. We didn't get the mask put on by waiting, but we did make good progress on some other things like the sails. We did get to see our sails for the first time, which was pretty exciting because I did not go traditional, which had me a little worried about how that was going to come out because things on paper and ideas sometimes aren't as great in reality, but they came out fantastic. Like, it was super exciting, and I did film it, but it was like just out on, like, you know, loft floor sort of thing. So I thought, I just think we should wait and get the full glory of them on the boat, which should happen when Mast comes back. So I thought, no, I think I'm gonna save that and we'll wait. And then there are, because we have extra time now, there are a couple of things that are now a go and that are getting installed on the boat that we didn't think were gonna happen. So that's also a plus. So, you know, it's like give and take through this whole thing. And one of them is quite a big one, which we will show you next time because that, it's been a big debate. And I'll just leave it at that. So we got lots of stuff to show you next time, plenty to catch you up on, so many little things kind of happening that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet, but I will next week. So anyway, thanks so much for joining us and waiting with us and being impatient and patient with us all at the same time. Anyway, it's a journey. We're all on it together. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and we will see you next time.